Hope everyone's having a good day. Welcome back to the Adam C. Moreno Show. Guys, this is a big deal. President Trump just announced his latest pick, and check this out. He announced Kash Patel as the next director of the FBI. This is so huge. I like what I'm seeing so far. Let me just go ahead and start off with what President Trump just tweeted out right now, where I think he posted this on Truth Social. What do you call it over there? Truths? You guys on Truth Social? I don't know. I have an account. We'll see. Anyways, this is what President Trump says. He says, I am proud to announce that Kash Patel will serve as the next director of the FBI. Kash is a brilliant lawyer, investigator, and America First fighter who has spent his career exposing corruption, defending justice, and protecting the American people. He played a pivotal role in uncovering the Russia hoax, standing as an advocate for truth, accountability, and the Constitution. Kash did an incredible job during my first term, where he served as Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, Deputy Director of National Intelligence, and Senior Director for Counterterrorism at the National Security Council. Kash has also tried over 60 jury trials. This FBI will end the growing crime epidemic in America, dismantle the migrant criminal gangs, and stop evil scourge of human and drug trafficking across the border. Kash will work under our great Attorney General, Pam Bondi, to bring back fidelity, bravery, and integrity to the FBI. Wow. So whenever I was putting this video together, something stuck out to me, and it's going to be at the end, but the New York Times, I'll just show it right now, but the New York Times went ahead and they published this article last month, but the subtitle says, but critics say his swagger masks deep inexperience, right? That's what people are saying, or that's what the media is saying about Kash Patel, that he is deeply inexperienced. And I love how President Trump right here just completely obliterates all of that. Like, that's just no fake news. Doesn't make any sense. Like, are you kidding me? He brought the receipts here. Chief of Staff at the DOD, Deputy Director, National Intelligence. Come on, counterterrorism. He's a heavy hitter. This is great. So I think that's incredible, but I want to go into a couple clips that I saw from Kash Patel that are just like, everyone's talking about this, right? I've been seeing like so many videos over the past couple hours where everyone's just kind of elevating, talking about how great of a pick this is, and I just think it's great. So I wanted to go ahead and share some of this. I saw this from N Wokeness. Check this out. That's so good. Like, are you kidding? Like, as you guys know, I was just in DC, with my wife on our honeymoon. It was super awesome. Also, thank you so much for all the congratulations. Like, you guys are, it's incredible. Like, every night I'm just like reading the comments. So many people are saying the nicest things about it, and we just absolutely love it. But something stuck out to us whenever we were like in DC, and to me personally, it's the amount of buildings that we saw that were looking just so empty and lifeless. Like, we passed by the J. Edgar Hoover FBI building, right? And I did not see a single person walk in, right? Like, we were there for a while, and it just looked very empty. And I've heard stories about this as well. Like, I think I saw it from Elon Musk too. He was saying that, like, yeah, they went to have some meeting over there in DC, and it took them like an hour to figure out how to turn on the lights because everyone's remote now. And it's like so many of these buildings are just empty. And it's like, this is bureaucracy at its finest. So many people contributing, not enough work, and it's just lifeless. There's almost energy there. So to see someone like Patel saying, you kind of got to make things a bit smaller, or go ahead, send them out all across the country, go and be cops, catch bad guys, because what you're doing right now, it's just not working. So I like that approach. I think it absolutely makes sense to me. Something else that I like, I saw this from Benny Johnson. He says Kash Patel's plan to release the Epstein client list, and he talks about what's subpoena to the FBI, and I think it is great. Check this out.
So are you, like, in closing here, I want to just be very clear. Republicans could get Epstein's list out now? Like, how would that process work?
Simple. One subpoena to the FBI. Give me the list. Oh, you don't want to give me the list and you're going to break the law and commit contempt of Congress? we're going to take your money. We're going to take Chris Wray's private jet, taxpayer-funded G5 rides across the country to his Appalachian State vacation home down to Georgia and all over the rest of the place. That guy doesn't need a G5 government-funded jet. And the second you take that money, you get Epstein's list.
Here's the problem, Kash, is that they shut down the Lolita Express. So how are these guys going to fly on a private jet anymore? It's really a quandary, my friend.
Oh, man. I love it.
I love it. And you know what? Like, so many people are going ahead and sharing their perspective on Kash. And I really valued Patrick Bet-David's here because he says a lot of people are not happy about this. Okay. Says a lot of people aren't happy. And it's a response to what President Trump says whenever he was announcing him, right? But I love how he ends with saying, but the right people are. And I just think it's so interesting how whenever we're having these conversations, like, regardless of your position, like, there's always going to be someone who's opposing it. If you are for someone, there's always going to be someone who is against them, right? If you are on the left, there's always going to be a right. If you are in the light, there's always going to be a shadow. And but I love this kind of imagery here. Like, there's a lot of people who aren't happy, but the right people are. So whenever I'm looking at all these perspectives, right, all the people in the comment sections, they're all kind of very excited. And to me, you know, these are the right people, right? So that makes me pretty excited about this. Now I'll go ahead and share this other clip that I saw from Colin Rugg, because what I wanted to do here is kind of share what everyone is really seeing, like, all across the internet, because I think it's great. But I also asked Grok to go ahead and tell me about kind of like the highs and the lows about Kash Patel, and I think that's interesting. But let me go ahead and share this by Colin Rugg first. Check this out. It's so good.
I'm not saying it's not there. Who are you going to get that?
For instance, who is currently holding, this is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book? FBI.
But who? That's
under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game.
That's how they play the game. That's how they play the game. And I love how he ends kind of that conversation with that's how they play the game, because so many people, you know, in these jobs, they just know that if they play the game long enough, they get to go to the next level. I'm just thinking about, you know, like Mario, right? You know, whenever you play Mario and you have to go and you have to jump to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And yeah, you could, you know, fall and die. But if you stay in the game, you go on to the next level. And to me, I'm like, this is like, these are federal jobs. This is like the best example of federal jobs. This is the best example of bureaucracy. And it does not breed efficiency. Government jobs actually breed inefficiency, because if you take a long time to produce something, well, so is everyone else. And then everyone just kind of takes their time, and there's no incentives for doing the right thing fast. And that's why you have so many people that's why you have so many people. That's why you have so many bureaucrats. That's why you have so many inefficient people in our government. And to me, it's just ridiculous. And I don't like seeing it, but seeing that this guy is talking about, we need to make things smaller. We need to make things more efficient. We need to streamline things. That makes sense to me. I like it. And I think it's great. You know, I also saw this from Anna Matson. She says, Justin, Trump picked Kash Patel to head the FBI. And I love how she kind of just gives a really quick summary. I think it's great. She says, for those that care about color over quality, yes, he is Indian. and was born from immigrant parents. I kind of it's interesting how like we try not to be like superficial, but it's like even in politics is so incredibly superficial. Like people want to know what is racist. People want to know if he's an immigrant, like all these things. And it's like it doesn't matter, but so many people still talk about it. And the fact that people talk about and elevate these conversations, it just makes it matter even more. And it's crazy. But I love how she kind of broke this down into two things. For those who are looking about color, or for those who care about color over quality, yes, he's Indian. But then she says, now, for those who care about quality, here is a little bit about his background that makes him qualified for this role. I think it's great. She goes on to say Kash Patel is an attorney with experience in national security, law enforcement, and intelligence. He worked as a public defender, a trial attorney in the DOJ's National Security Division, and senior counsel on counterterrorism for the House Intelligence Committee. During the first Trump administration, he held key roles, including senior director at the National Security Council, principal deputy in the ODNI, and a chief of staff at the Department of Defense. His expertise spans counterterrorism, intelligence, and defense operations. Great breakdown. I love it. It's great. Now, for someone like me, I don't have the most experience of Kash Patel, so I looked to X's Grok, and I asked them a very simple question. I said, tell me about Kash Patel. Give me the highs and lows. Be balanced, but keep it real with me. And we kind of saw the same exact thing that President Trump said, that Anna Mattson said, and it highlights his career. Yeah, he worked as a public defender. He worked as a prosecutor. He worked as someone focusing on national security cases, right? He worked with the Trump administration. He advocated for Trump, like X, Y, and Z's. But what I'm interested in is kind of the lows. Like, what are the attacking points that people say about Kash? And there's something here about charity controversies, right? Like his post to government charity Fight with Kash has been criticized. Okay, I hear it. Public perception. Patel is often described in media as polarizing. His aggressive stance against what he terms the deep state, that's super hilarious, and his threats to prosecute perceived political enemies have painted him as a figure of divisiveness. Okay, I feel like I could work with that, just because so many people interpret divisiveness. Like I'd say after listening to him talk all day, I'd say he's someone who's very passionate, and I feel like people are having trouble, criticizing anything that's not true from him. So I think that's interesting. There's controversial appointments, right? They're talking about him leading the CIA, XYZ. Critics argue that this could lead to the politicization of nonpartisan agencies. Okay, by the New York Times. Sure. Now, this is back to the article that I brought up in the beginning, where the New York Times, this is the article that says Kash Patel, the magical rise of a self-described wizard in Trump world. But my beef here is that so many people they seem to be attacking him for his inexperience. All right. Grok also was attacking them for his stances. I don't know about you. I like seeing the passion. All right. I like seeing someone's conviction be so deep and raw that they just, it only comes out as passionate. All right. And that's kind of the vibe and the energy that I get whenever I'm listening to him talk here. So I think that's great, right? Personally. But back to this article from the New York Times. Whenever people talk about inexperience in all these picks, I'm just like that bothers me. All right. Because first of all, if you want the person to have the job, is like to be the person who deserves the job, quote unquote, because let's say they're working there right now and it's like their next promotion, just as Patel has mentioned. Like, how is that not going to produce the same exact result? If there's a problem right now, why would you want to hire someone from the inside to do the same exact job? If the problem exists right now, then if then the next person who has the role, who should quote unquote have the role, according to, you know, the New York Times, the problems are just going to continue to exist. I don't know if you guys have seen that famous video, but there's this famous video where they're talking about like insanity, and insanity is doing the same exact thing over and over again, but expecting different results. And every time I see, you know, major publications criticize Trump or his picks as inexperienced, like they said the same exact thing about RFK Jr. Oh, he's not qualified. Like, listen, if you choose the people who you think are supposed to have the job because of their inexperience, because maybe, you know, they held this position for another administration, like, how is that going to be good for the world? If there's something toxic happening in that building, why would you just allow the next toxic person to bring their own toxicity back into the building? Like, nothing will change. The only thing that changes is when you bring someone who has a different perspective, a diverse perspective, and a vision for how this agency should function. That makes sense to me. So to see people criticizing other people for their inexperience, like, first of all, if the agency was doing the job that it was supposed to be doing, then we wouldn't have to bring in different people. Like, different people are a byproduct of your inefficiency. And I just think it's just so deeply ironic that, like, the only things people are saying about this guy, the only things they could attack him with are inexperience. But if we go back to the beginning, that what we read from President Trump, like, inexperience, like, where? How does this seem like, what part of this is like, what part of this screams inexperience to you? Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Senior Director of Counterterrorism at the National Security Council. Like, he's an attorney. Like, what are we talking about here? How is this inexperience? It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Anyways, the last thing I want to share today that's also kind of crazy is I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw this ad with RFK Jr. Like, this is just a sponsored post from RFK Jr. And I thought it was, like, I think it's hilarious, but it's also, like, kind of cool. Check this out. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's super funny. Look how happy he is. He's literally just, like, boxing in his living room with this
box ball and the ideal stocking stuffer. When I'm on the road, I try to use it as often as I can because it keeps up my hand-eye coordination and it gives me a workout.
That sounds kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm probably gonna check it out on Amazon right now. But I thought that was super funny. I just posted that. Anyways, that's gonna be the end of this video. But let me know what you thought. Let me know what you think about this pick. Let me know what you think about Kash Patel as the next director of the FBI. I don't know about you, but after looking at all these clips, after diving a little bit deeper on my own, I'm kind of excited about it. But you know what? I could be wrong. Let me know your perspective. Tell me about the highs. Tell me about the lows. And let's keep the conversation going in the comment section. Again, this is breaking news, so there could be more information that comes out later, but let me know what you thought about him and as being the next potential director of the FBI. Do you trust him? Look at those eyes. Those guys trustworthy eyes to be. Anyways, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Episode's over already? Jeez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.